Australia has one of the highest concentrations of media ownership in the world, and it has been argued that this has led to the dearth of sources of opinions which can glean information and make informed decisions about social and political issues. Rupert Murdoch and the Murdoch family own 70% of Australia's media, such as Channel 10 and Sky News. Other privately owned include Channel 7 and Channel 9. So how do these vary from SBS and ABC, which are owned by the government? Or moreover, how does the nature of this ownership affect our minorities? Many believe concentration of ownership leads to concentration of ideas.
BBC and ITV are themselves biased and unbalanced, especially in the coverage they give to Britain's black community. Not only is a lot of this coverage not neutral, it actually reinforces racism.
To explore these ideas further, we will view the death of Indigenous Elijah Dowdy, which took place in 2017. A man fatally ran over Elijah and was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment for manslaughter, causing more tensions between the community and the police, which led to a riot. Waller and McCallum view the listening method could address some of the complex issues and integrate Indigenous Australians in the media. However, failure to listen is a powerful means of closing down these voices. So, who has the autonomy to choose what voices get heard? Waller suggests listening or participatory media shifts this power onus on opinion leaders and policymakers to access communities that have been marginalised. The concern arises that practitioners only direct their attention to these challenges when it's appropriate.
We are upset about it, so let's cool it a bit.
We're not happy. Just have a look around. We are not happy.
On both of these news programs, these were the only Indigenous voices spoken in the entirety of the report. In order to measure the salience of the Indigenous voices, let's look at ABC's news program.
Maybe something could come out of this, maybe the community will get together and say, we've had enough. But how are you going to do it? There's a divide there.
Deserve to be run over.
Thieving scum.
Shoot them.
When this is your daily reality, what is it like to be one of the kids of Kalgoorlie?
As we can see, there is 2 different methods in approaching the unravelling of Dowdy's case between public and private media outlets. The commercially owned stations seem to put more salience on the riots and show little of the motives behind them and the deeply rooted challenges these Indigenous Australians face. Comparable to ABC and SBS, where their programs solely focused on the voice of the Indigenous, the Kalgoorlie community and the factors that contributed. In today's society, the Indigenous people have more media access and maybe more media coverage than ever. However, there is a danger of creating echo chambers if decision makers don't hear them. Let's look at the viewing rates of selected reports of Dowdy's case. Evidently, the viewing rates of commercially owned stations' viewing rates exceed government-owned. Interpretation and use of this data can be harmful. As Gumbus and Gadinsky say, big data have the capacity to promote social good. We claim them also perpetuate harm with results that are inequitable or discriminatory when applied to protected classes or minorities. Could this explain the concentration of voices that are chosen to remain silent or prominent? As Hobbes describes, the media provides us with a window to the world. However, how do we know that this world is depicting a balanced and fair view? As Stuart Hall said,
"But formal balance is one thing, and the impression which strong images make is another. It's a question of how the media as a whole work, and of how television works on the audience."
Agenda setting. As a result of the media's autonomy to depict salience of stories, they are able to transfer the media's agenda to the public agenda. Hobbes describes agenda setting and hits 3 issues in which we'll use to break down the content of Elijah Dowdy's case. 1. Media selectivity.
Whenever programs are made about blacks, the starting point is always numbers. And there's nothing that factual television loves so much as a good solid number.
10 people were arrested. During the trouble, more charges are expected to be laid. And all up, 11 police officers were injured.
2. Media framing.
Kalgoorlie is a city on the edge tonight after a day of violence.
Now a verdict that's prompted fears of more violence.
Elijah Doherty's death sparked some of the worst violence seen in WA for decades.
Number 3. Bias. Here we see an external perspective. Al Jazeera, a large broadcasting news organisation that unravels the depiction of Dowdy's case, showcasing the event without Australia's media agenda.
Though one boy's death was the trigger, the angry reaction reflects deeper issues. Indigenous people say there's a broad bias in the justice system against them, and they're frustrated at the lack of opportunities, education and jobs.
Reporters often prefer conflict frames to increase news consumer interest. but the news reports that emerge often lack sufficient context. Constructing these fragments of reality as a result of these hidden agendas is harmful to these minorities.
Really terrifying is the way the scene is being set. This is the archetypal picture. Black communities seen exclusively in terms of crime, unemployment, family breakdown and problems. The problems are always explained by white experts.